Good morning, Angela here at So Bright Alpine Quilting on a sunny Sunday morning. We are here this morning to talk to you about machine applique techniques, and we are going to be using one of the undersea collection from Pattern Pool, designed by Monica and Alora Pool. This one here that we would have been doing in the class is Angelica the Angelfish. It's a slightly smaller version because in the class that we would have been doing at Craft Alive, we only had an hour and a half, 2 hours max to do it. So we have Alora's made us a slightly modified version, slightly smaller, makes it a bit easier. But you can, of course, purchase the full-size Angelica, which is featured in the quilt behind me, along with Billy, the blue whale. See what's to. You can see that? Nice. So we have patterns and kits for that one in the colours that you can see. Also in the collection is Toby the Turtle. So you actually get the full-size turtle. Dolly the Dolphin. And there's the whole dolly.
Evelyn says good morning.
Good morning, Evelyn. And we have Paddy the Pelican. Sienna the Seahorse. Ollie the Octopus. And there's the original size of the Angelica the Angelfish. And Billy the blue whale. So the Billy pattern actually comes in 2 sizes. The large one is the one that you can see on the quilt behind me, and the smaller one will fit on, is about the size of the pattern cover, which will fit on a bag or a small tote. And they look great in batik fabric. So we've got a selection of batik fabric here. These are the butterflies and dragonflies fabrics from Batiks Australia. So gorgeous patterns on those, lots of different colours that you can see. And they make great elements for applique quilts, such as these. And great for piecing as well, really nice tight weave on them. Not much fraying, which is great when you're appliquing. Hello, Sharon. And so there's 20 in that set. And so we sell them as a fat quarter bundle of 20 for $100. They're actually only $20 a metre, which is a bargain for batik fabric at the moment, or $5 for each fat quarter. The other one which I like to use are these stripy ones. So these are from AU Batik, and they have a beautiful rainbow stripe across them. We've got those in a few different colours. So this is the rainbow bright version. And then we have, that's the other side of the rainbow. There's a bluey green one, bluey green and purple, which is really pretty. This one has reds and purples and pinks, dusty blues down to lilac. So you get lots of different colour variation. Great for a sky print, that one. And another. There's both sides of the rainbow one, so it changes slightly from side to side. But they're just gorgeous, and I really like using them. So this rainbow one is what we used in the first Angelica. The pink and blue green one is what I used in the second one, in this smaller one. And today I'm going to use the rainbow one again, but I'm going to do it slightly differently for you to show you how versatile it is. We'll put that one over there. Okay. Just a little recap on yesterday's free motion quilting. Here's where I got to with the sea turtle. So you can see I've done some outlining. I'll pop it down on the table, be easier, Steve. I've done some outlining of the shapes here in green. This is what we were doing with you yesterday, and then I had changed to the 12 weight variegated thread, which I started here, which we had a little problem with. And then I rethreaded it, changed the needle, went off again, and the thread was shredding, and it got all caught up inside the machine. So now my machine needs to go to the doctor. That's okay. So we've a little bit of work in progress on that one. So with your applique patterns, you get a traceable reversed pattern, and you get a design layout sheet. So we print off. We've got the printed version of the smaller one here, reversed, and we would just trace with a pencil. I like to use my Soline Trio pencil. You can also use a very fine Sharpie. The Sharpie's quite good on the steamer seam, which is this is what we're using today, is the steamer seam. On that's one over there. Thank you, Steve. You can also use the Applique fusible webbing, but when you use the Sharpie on that, that's a bit ridgy, so I prefer to use the pencil on the Applique. I'm using the pencil today. So as you can see, we've just started tracing and numbering our shapes. We leave a little bit of a gap in between, so we've just got a couple to go. You can use a light box, but I can see this quite well. So I'm just going to trace those last two for you. And sometimes I get it exactly on the line, and sometimes you don't. It's just a bit of serendipity. And so then we would, if we're going to do a different colour with each of those shapes, we would cut those out roughly just outside the line. Hi, Deline. Just outside the line like so, and then we would peel off our backing paper. Now with this, as I forgot to mention, the steamer seam has two release papers. One side is quite loose, and you can get it. One side is quite loose, so you need to make sure that you're tracing on the side that is quite stuck to the paper, otherwise your design will not transfer. So once we've traced our design, we peel off that release paper, and we would stick this shape onto the background, onto the back of the fabric that we're going to use. I've got one set up here next to the table. I want to move over here, Steve. So today I thought I would show you what happens when you just use one fabric. So we've got this beautiful rainbow fabric, and we're going to just use one fabric. We're going to peel off the backing. Now it's gone stuck to the wrong side. There we go. So we peel that off and we stick it down, getting it where we want it. So I'm going to have it about there. The benefit of the steamer seam is that it has a sticky fusible that sticks without ironing. So we come over with our nice dry iron on cotton setting just to stick that down to start with. It doesn't want to stick. So I'll grab that bit there. I'll stick that. Use that bit there. And here we have our little eye bits, so we'll just give those a press. Then we can come back through with our scissors and cut out our shapes. So now we can cut out on the line that we've drawn. Okay. I like these Fiskars scissors because they're a short blade Nice short blade, but they're very sharp, and I can see where I'm cutting, and they're very manoeuvrable, so you can get a nice even cut without being too jaggedy. So we just pop all those aside and we can cut the rest out. So you probably don't want to see me cut out the whole lot, so we'll just cut out this piece here, which will get us started. This is his mouth. So if you've got any questions, just post them in the comments and we'll get back to you if we can in this session or after the session. Okay, so then we would, once we've got all our pieces cut out, we can peel off that extra backing piece. And that leaves us with a sticky bit, which then we can then iron onto our background. So if we take our background here, there's our background, and our fish is going to probably sit about there. So with the steamer seam, as you can see, it because of that first sticky layer, it holds it in place, and you can, if you're not doing it on your ironing board, you can do it on your mat and then move it to the ironing board and give it a press. So once it's in its rightful place, you switch your iron to steam. Grab a pressing mat because we don't want any of the glue to go onto our iron, and then we hold it on there for about 15 seconds. This product can take a lot of heat, and it tells you 15 seconds. I'm not counting, but that feels about right. You can also, if you've got multiple layers, you can also do it from the back, so it doesn't hurt to come back over the back just to make sure it's stuck down. So we would place all our whole design out, and then we can stitch it down. So I'll show you some tips on the stitching. Now, if we haven't put enough steam onto this piece, when we start to stitch, we might get some gumming on our needle. So you might see some, little bits of gummy glue come up on here. That means that you haven't pressed it down hard enough or long enough. So you just need to go back and repress it. There's no need for any stabilizer on the back of this, so we can take it straight to the machine. So today I am using the Harmony Rayon variegated thread. Steve, you just want to show that purple one over there on the spool. So this is a rayon thread, so nice and shiny and fine. I have a size 80 Microtex needle in the machine, and I've set my stitch on blanket stitch. Now on this machine it doesn't need to be reversed. On my other machine I need to reverse the stitch to get it to stitch the way that I want it. So it starts with a long straight stitch and then goes across with a zigzag and then comes down. So we set it up so that the needle is going to come just on that side, on the background side of the fabric, and we make sure that our needle is down, and in this case we're hanging onto the thread, and we start stitching. So it's important to be able to recognise where the stitch is at for when you get to a point, and when we get around there we will be able to see. So I'll just hold that one out of the way and we'll go. So the aim is to have that straight stitch alongside the edge of the applique stitch and the zigzag stitch coming out at a 90-degree angle. So you will need to turn your work, and so it's important to turn it when it's on the background side, not when it's over on the zigzag side. So I have a knee lifter on this machine, so that makes it easy for me to turn without having to move my hands. Hopefully you can still hear me over the top of the machine. So we just stop when we need to. Now once we get a little bit away from where we were stitching, I like to pull that thread through to the back so that we can tie it off. Especially when you're using a slippery thread or a shiny thread, it's important to tie off correctly. And so if you just give it a little tug on this last stitch, you should be able to pull that through. And of course it's got all caught up in another stitch. Doesn't look like it's going to cooperate, of course, because we're trying to do a demonstration. I think that got it. Did that get it? No. So if you're having trouble pulling it through, then that's okay. I would just leave that for then, and then I would show you, when we get around the other side, I'll show you how I use another needle to pull that through. So we'll just keep stitching. Murphy's law that things don't go out when you're trying to demonstrate. And so you can see this gorgeous variegated purple thread is showing up nicely. Please yourself whether you do a complementing colour or a contrasting colour. I personally like to be able to see the stitches that I've done, seeing I've taken the time to actually stitch it. If I didn't want to see the stitches, I would have done it with a with a turned edge and appliqued it down with an invisible stitch. So when we get around to this mouth here, so we need to turn, lift and turn so that we get our stitches to go around the corner and still look a bit lifelike. So don't be afraid to stop and turn and get your stitches facing the right way. So now we've got a bit of a run here, we can get up a bit of speed. Get that stitch out of the way. So as we come to the point, we just want to slow down a little bit, make sure that it's not going to go over to the other side. So in this case here, I will turn it so that it stitches back on itself, then go back again, because otherwise we're going to have too many stitches in that little corner going the wrong way. That's much better. And now we come back down to where we finish. So when you finish, you just want to take one more stitch and get it back to where it started. Take the needle up, gently pull the work out, get your scissors, trim that one, trim the underneath, and then we can flip it over and see if we can pull that second thread out without too much ado. Okay, so you can see that when you pull on the bobbin thread, oops, just trying to grab a pin. When you pull on the bobbin thread, you get a little loop from the stitching from the front, the thread from the front, and you can just pull that through. That's how easily it should come, not like this other one that's got all stuck. So when it gets stuck, you just grab another needle. I have these easy threading needles that have the little notch in the top. So you push that in from the front, click the thread into the notch and pull it through like so, and then you've got your 4 threads on the back that you can tie a double knot. They're a little bit slippery, so they're not cooperating very well, so tie a little double knot just to secure all those stitches. This is the tedious part, but it is worth it for the end. Snip those excess threads off and pop them in the bin. So then you have some beautiful applique stitching. So he will look much different once she will look much different once her eye goes on there. So you would just repeat that with all your different shapes. And then you can just decide whether you want to finish this as a part of a wall hanging. So you might want to layer it and quilt around in the background, quilt some watery or some bubbles in the background, or just leave it stapled on a board as I've done with this one. As far as kits go, I can pop together a kit for this one. Hopefully we will be able to get to having a class. So if you are interested in having a class in this one, let us know, or join our newsletter, and then you'll know when all the classes are happening. Just remind you that we've just been using these beautiful Wonderful variegated rayon threads. These are harmony packs, and they'll be on the website. I think there's about 10 different ones. So that's the blue one we were using yesterday. There's a slightly different variegated one, and there's the other themes are in lots of different colorways as well. And this afternoon I'll be talking to you about some more free motion quilting. Do you want to pass me that little quilt behind you, Steve? Sorry. Yeah, that one. Sorry. So we'll be talking about the free motion doodles quilt this afternoon, and we'll chat more about free motion quilting and using our threads. Thanks for watching. See you this afternoon at 2. Bye-bye.